Hey fifth grade, welcome back. It is Thursday, art day, best day of the week. So good to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. You guys rocked it. Y'all did so well with this perspective. We talked about worm's eye view, if I was a little bitty worm sitting on the ground, and how things around us would be ginormous, but the things far, far away from us would be tiny. Y'all did so well. I'm so proud. So this week we're going to be adding our sky, and I'm going to show you how to use watercolor made from just your marker and some water. If you have watercolors, now would be the time to get those out. But if you don't, I'm going to show you an easy trick. You could turn this into watercolor at any time, if you wanted to add watercolor to any projects that you're doing. So that'll be in the next video, but I wanted to tell you guys and review really quickly about our fall colors, because that's what we're talking about, a color scheme. So a fall color scheme could be a lot of different things, but for us in this project, our color scheme, which goes along with that theme of fall, is going to land with reds, oranges, greens, yellows, browns, okay? Those fall type colors. Remember to think about the trees like up north, or places that the trees start to turn early in like September, October, and you see all those wonderful colors, and they're all different. Because here in Texas right now, most of our trees are just green, which is fine too. But think about those, because that's what we want to make our trees. Now, if you've done that already, great. If you haven't finished your leaves, then that's what you need to do right now. So that's where those colors and that color scheme comes back into play, is that you need to finish up all those dots to make it look like leaves. All right? So go ahead and do that now. We recapped with our colors. We're talking about our perspective, which was in a worm's eye view. And we're little bitty worms sitting and looking up at the trees. Okay, so today's lesson is really going to focus on the watercolor. But if you need to finish anything else, stop the video now and do that. But other than that, I really don't have much to say, because I don't want to take up too much time, because I want y'all to have time to do your watercolor. So be sure you're checking your assignments on Schoology. Make sure you've turned everything in so you can get a grade, a check mark for that. If you haven't done so, it'll show up that you have an assignment past due. Get that done, turn it in to me so that I can make sure you are up to date with everything, all right? It's your responsibility. It's also mine. Miss A is trying her best with all the grading and everything, but it's also your responsibility to stay on top of your work, okay? I know you guys have a lot of stuff going on. I totally understand. So just get it done when you can. That way I can make sure that you have completed and you were able to understand the lesson, all right? So just get it into me, please, whenever you get the chance. Like I said, I know you guys have a lot going on with your virtual learning, and it's a lot to, tackle at one time, but I'm totally understanding and I totally get it. So send them when you can, all right? Well, enjoy the rest of your lesson, and I will see you guys soon, all right? Bye, Lions. Hey, fifth grade, welcome back. Here is part 2 of our perspective project. Now, if you've got watercolors at home, right now would be the time to get your watercolor out with a cup of water and a paintbrush. You're really only using blue today, and I'm going to show you this way, if you don't have watercolors, how to create them. Now, all you need is a Crayola marker or any kind of marker you have at home. You can use foil or you can use plastic wrap. I'm just using a plastic bag that I had in my classroom. I also have a spray bottle. You could just use like a cup of water, okay? All I'm going to do today is I want to finish the background. If you have not completed coloring in your trees and adding your dotted leaves, do so now. All right, so pause the video and do so now. You can see that I made it kind of this weird amoeba shape, because I don't want it to look like a circle, okay? So let's get started. We talked about perspective and how we are in a worm's eye view on the ground. Everything's going to look huge, okay? Of course, closer to us. But as things get further and further away from us, they get smaller, okay? So you can see that's why the leaves are so small. So now we gotta do the sky. This whole background portion is going to be blue. So I'm gonna show you how I do this right now. All I do is take my marker and I color all over the plastic bag. And you're gonna see that the color kind of bubbles up. It doesn't actually color on the bag, and that's fine. I'm gonna move my paper so I can do this. I'm gonna take some water if I can get it to work. And I'm gonna spray on top of it. And do you see that it's starting to make these big pools of the color blue? That's like creating our watercolor right there. I didn't get my brush wet, which I should have. Shame on Jose. Your brush is thirsty, it needs some water, okay? So now that my brush is wet, I'm gonna take some of this watercolor that I have made here, okay? And I'm going to start painting. Now we did a wax resist, which means that we used crayon or oil pastel, which is going to make it stand out. Now, when we paint with our paintbrush, this is a watercolor brush. It is fluffier at the top. If you don't have one of those, it's okay. Use what you got. But we want to make sure we're painting all in like the same direction. Do you see I'm kind of going at a diagonal, painting this one section here? Now, that one part is done. Your paper is going to get soggy, and that's okay. All right, and you can see some of these spots on here where I had oil on my hands from the oil pastels and I was touching the paper, so the oil transferred, but that's okay. I'm gonna move on. Still got some watercolor over here. Still kind of going in this triangle shape. Okay, taking some of this watercolor here, homemade watercolor, and painting in this section. You can see all my little my fingerprints on here. It's the bad part about oil pastel. Sometimes it leaves prints, but it's kind of cool because it almost looks like little clouds in the sky. But all right, I'm not going to do the whole paper because I think you're kind of getting the point. Yes, I hope so. Okay, as you start to run out of color, just dry this off and recolor with the marker and add some water. If you're just using a cup, really all you have to do is dip your paintbrush in the cup and touch some of the marker and you'll get some watercolor, okay? You can see how quickly it goes though, because I'm almost out on my plastic bag here, okay? So you're gonna color this in, pretty simple, pretty easy. We're just painting the background today and then we're done. It looks really dark right now, but when it dries, it's gonna be a little bit lighter of a blue. So finish coloring this in with your watercolor. All right, please don't forget to rinse out your brush and leave your brush with the hair up so that our brush stays nice and clean and their hair is nice and pretty, okay? Make sure that you are using a washable marker. Do not use permanent markers, it will not work. So today, something to color on, whether it's plastic, wax paper, foil, but it has to be a surface that when it gets wet, the water kind of rolls off. You'll need a marker, your paintbrush, and some water, okay? My water looks really gross, but I had tie-dye in this, so I promise it's not gross water. But okay, all right, 5th grade, enjoy finishing up this project. They look really cool so far, and everybody's done a really great job. So I'm really excited to see this. Snap a pic on your phone or your iPad and send to Schoology, please. Have a great week. Bye.